call this order. 6 p.m. We'll call to order the July 17th, 2024 Dune City Council regular meeting. Roll call wise, Tom Allen is excused tonight. He can't make it. Everyone else is present. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 4 is consideration of the agenda. Do we have any revisions needed tonight? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. And remember to state your name, with motions and seconds.
Susan Snell, I'll move for the agenda being accepted.
Thank you. A second?
Melissa Stinson, second.
You didn't state your name.
Well done.
No. You can have the next one, Chris.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let the record reflect that was unanimous. Item 5 is the consent agenda. That would be 5A through E. Anyone have anything they want to discuss before we review the consent agenda? Seeing none, I need a motion.
Chris Clemens, so motion.
Thank you.
Rich Olson, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oops, sorry. I'm sorry. Any opposed? Seeing none, that's unanimous. Item 6, announcements and correspondence.
Yes, got a few. So we've been, DemandStar reached out to us, and they are a free procurement resource that allows us to basically put all of our, bids out on a public platform. They have 30 plus agencies here in Oregon, and it just helps us, find more local and diverse vendors. So I figured it's a free service, and I would like to sign up for it.
All right.
The next one is the Charter Communications. They basically sent us some information that their fees are going up pretty much as of now. And the only thing that I really think that's going to affect us as far as what I can find on our invoices is maybe a receiver might be going up by $1 a month. The Hayek franchise, so the last time we talked about them, we had basically countered their proposal, and they basically sent us a contract back. And it does say for the first 6 months of this franchise, the minimum quarterly fee will be $250. Following the 6-month period, the franchise fee shall be 5% of gross revenue or $250, whichever is greater. And they also added that the franchisee agrees to provide to City at no cost free standard business internet connection at City Hall for the duration of the franchise. And the only comment that the attorney made was the fact that this says for the first 6 months, we get 5% of gross revenue or $250. So his comment was, at least we'll get $250. We don't know that we'll get more than that.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, is that an action item, or is that an action item for a future agenda?
Well, I guess,
We need to approve the terms and...
so I guess it's an action item. If
Okay.
you guys approve what they've written here.
All right.
So I need to,
Wasn't noticed as an action item.
Right.
So, okay, we'll put it on a future agenda then.
Okay.
Unless anyone has any additional comments, we'll put it on there for action, and then we'll get it signed and sent back.
Yeah, I reached out to get clarification on what that business service provided. I might have been a little granted since I haven't signed a contract yet, but we'll see what it is.
Okay.
It might just be a higher speed internet and no actual IT services. It might be some actual IT services.
With no fee, because right now we pay it.
Right.
So that'll help. They're working in Florence right now, so the hope is that as soon as they're finished in Florence, they would come south and have a choice for internet if you're so desirous.
Well, and the whole point of our last item that we went back to them was we wanted them to start paying as soon as they started working, not waiting until they got customers,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
So it was the first 6 months was $250 no matter what, then the second 6 months was 5%.
It's $250 or
Or $250.
$5.
Or $5.
Right, that reads
250 or,
5%.
yeah,
Whichever
whichever's
greater.
greater.
So we'll probably continue to get 250 for a while until they have customers.
Right.
All right. Very good.
The other thing is from the vote from the citizens, we needed to do a charter update, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that that had been taken care of.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And as far as the vehicles, we are up to $750 on the car and $1,300 on the truck. And those bids close tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
All right,
So 751 and 1301.
Right, pretty much.
could be.
And the last thing for me is that I have been working on a newsletter for Dune City, and so if you wanted to sign up for that, I just need an email address. So at this point, we're trying to get it on the website where you can sign up there, or in the meantime, you can email me at recorder@dunecityor.com.
All right, thank you. I have nothing additional to report under reports. Anything on water quality, Council President Smith?
No, I have nothing this month.
Okay. And permit report, is that in our,
Yeah, we've got it.
okay. So we've got all the permit information. Anything unusual that we need to discuss? No. Any questions?
I'll call her tomorrow and have a question on a concern that I had brought forth from a neighbor. So it was in regards to a build of something on a property. Nobody knows what, we can't see it from the road.
Oh,
She
okay.
was gonna investigate it.
Okay,
And she may be here a little bit later. She had to run home.
all right. That takes us to new business. A is review of Clay Cone final order on appeal. If you recall, at our meeting, he had 30 days.
Citizen input.
Where? Oh, dear, I'm sorry. Item 7, citizen input on any items not discussed in a public hearing. Do we have anybody that wants to discuss anything not on the agenda or not our public hearing?
I do, but if it's more timely for you, we could do it later as a part of the sign discussion.
Is it related to the sign discussion?
It is.
Okay, yeah, let's wait till we
Okay.
get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We want to discuss something, I'm not sure if it's on the agenda.
To discuss the short-term rental situation.
Right. Is it a general question? Because we don't have it on the agenda tonight, so if you just have a general question, you can throw it out there. Otherwise, we've been working on that in the first meeting of each month as a work session, and we will have all the comments and the revisions published for public review.
Okay, we came here before to be put on the calendar, so you should have it written down already as wanting to speak here.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
So, the issue we have here is that we live next door to two Airbnb type rentals. And looking over the zoning map of Dune City, it appears that those are all residential areas, of zone R.
Yes.
And looking through ordinance 182, it doesn't address that at all. Bed and breakfast is conditionally allowed, but a standalone hotel room is not. And that's basically what we're next to.
Which? You're next to a bed and breakfast? Or
We're
you're
next to a
vacation rental.
vacation rental that
Okay.
is fundamentally a standalone hotel without management. And the problem is we have residents there who come for a night or two, who stay up all night drinking and having parties. And we have really no way to address that other than physically police that ourselves, which is not our job and it's dangerous.
Correct. Yes.
So the real issue here is these should not be permitted at all. They're not residences. This is residential area. There's no resident there. There's no one. And a bed and breakfast, there's usually a resident who provides breakfast.
Right.
There is no one at that. So again, this is a standalone hotel room. And it's not part of anything that's legitimized by your zoning regulations. So the issue is, why this is continued. Number one, why are our licenses still being issued? They should stop. And the third is whether or not Dune City is willing to ban this behavior after a fair amount of time, say at the end of 27, for example, that we would no longer have these short-term rentals. That short-term rental might be 4 months or 3 months, but 1 day is hardly reasonable. It's destroying neighborhoods, it's destroying property values, and it's also using resources of the city for which the city is not getting recompensed at all. If it was a hotel, you could have a hotel tax. But it is a hotel, but you're not getting the money from it. So you're getting screwed, we're getting screwed. It's a dumb idea.
Okay,
Sir, what was your name?
yeah.
Robert Moss,
K-O-S-I?
yes.
Thank you, sir. And
So,
what's the street address, or the name of the street?
Buckskin Drive.
Thank you.
all right, you have some good questions there. So it's not up for decision tonight, it's not on the agenda. I encourage you to come to our work session because we've been discussing about basically the very same items for the last 4 months. And I think the proposed ordinance revisions go a long ways to addressing some of those concerns, but I don't think we're in a position to ban short-term rentals, but I encourage you to come to our next meeting in August. Will we have the whole packet out for public review by then?
It's ready right now.
Okay,
It's been posted today, I think.
Okay.
It's posted on our website. The whole
I would just
package.
like to add something similar to Bob. I live 2 houses down from them.
what's your name?
Steve. Boom. So again, it's zoned residential with no resident living in the house. There's no resident, and it matters. As like a hotel has a guest come and stay at the hotel, but a hotel also has an employee that works on site. These guests, they're not residents, they're guests, are staying with nobody. They're staying by themselves in a room, a whole house. They're considered lodgers, they're not considered tenants. A tenant would be a person who occupies land or property from a landlord. They don't do that. So also I would classify this as a hotel, an establishment that provides paid lodging on a short-term basis. That's the definition of a hotel. And so we don't know the people that are staying in these places. They come and go.
Yeah.
And the person that rents out the Airbnb or whatever vacation rental could be on the up and up. They could be legit, and their person that they bring could be a criminal. We don't know these people. And when you get to know them, they're gone in a couple days, and you have to get to know the whole next group. And I live in between 2 of them, and it's like I'm living in between 2 hotels. And if there's a problem, I've been told to fill out a complaint or whatever. It's not my job to police these hotels. It's the resident of the house. That's their job to deal with their guests staying with them. And when you don't have a resident staying in a house permanently, then you have a problem. There's a big difference between an Airbnb that has a resident living in the house and one that doesn't. And I know a woman that has an Airbnb downtown, and she rents out part of her house, and she never has any problems because she's there. Even if she had a problem, she's there. She could deal with it. Her neighbors aren't coming to her and dealing with her problem. Let's see. Also, the partying, the drinking, the up past midnight. The other night there was people up past midnight just drunk and screaming and loud. And these people come to this area and they don't. I mean, we have a way of life in Dune City, and these people don't really know that way. They come with their speedboats, they ride around. We have a lot of shoreline eroding, and make waves in the river shoreline right there. And if they were a neighbor, permanent, they would worry about their shoreline. They would say, oh, I'm not going to do that with my own boat and erode my own shoreline. So these people come and they bring different sets of problems. And even if you addressed them with the people, in a day, there's brand new people, and you have to keep explaining these things. So it's not, again, it's not our job to police these hotels. And originally, Airbnbs were designed to have a guest stay in your extra room. Okay, so that's what Airbnb started as. You had an extra room in your house, you'd rent it out, make a little money. They weren't designed to turn your house into a hotel. It was never designed to do that. And I'm not against Airbnbs. I like people coming and enjoying our community. I think it's fun meeting new people. I think people, you know, they come, they bring a lot of money into our community. It's great. But at the same time, it also, when you take away a whole house out of a neighborhood and turn it into a hotel, it takes away just housing for people who live and work in the community. There's a lot of people that are in desperate need of housing here. And so my solution, because I don't think we should get rid of Airbnbs. I think that it's actually a good idea. My solution would be to have a permanent resident in each house. Okay, so if that permanent resident was a homeowner or a tenant that rented full-time the house, then you could have Airbnb and rent out part of that house to somebody else, but at least then you would have somebody living in the house that could deal with the problems, that can police the house.
Yeah.
They would be living in the house and the guests would come stay with them. So that's my thing.
We're getting into some details that we can't take action on tonight.
Yeah.
I encourage you to come back to the next work session because we have been working through those issues. And you're right, we have less complaints with owner-occupied room rentals or bed and breakfasts generate
When is that
nearly
work
no
session?
complaints.
First Wednesday.
First Wednesday of the month is a work meeting. We've been going through the short-term rental ordinance for the last 5 months. On the first Wednesday.
Is that a
of
6
each
o'clock
month.
as well?
Yeah. And then third Wednesday is our normal meeting with all the rest of the business on the agenda. So, and we just posted all those revisions. We've been going through the whole short-term rental ordinance. So all those revisions were just posted to the website for review.
So there's going to be some changes coming?
Yes.
Big
And-
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're taking public comment, that just got put on the website, we'll take public comment.
So have I said a lot of things that have already been said
Oh,
then?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard
You've heard it?
much of the same, yeah.
Okay.
But I do thank you guys, because it is a
Yeah.
most concern of your own on how you feel. That's important to me, I would say.
Okay. Steve, how do you spell your last name?
Boone. B-O-O-N-E.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, I appreciate the comments, and, yeah, we're working through it. And yeah, we have heard most of those, and I think we have revisions that should help with a lot of that, but open to discussion, so,
Yeah, my only thing would just be just have a resident living in the residence.
yeah.
That would solve a lot of it.
Probably. All right, anything else that's not on the agenda? We'll get to our sign in a minute. Anyone else? All right, seeing nothing, we'll go to 9A, review of Claycomb final order on appeal. So Mr. Claycomb left, we gave him 30 days to get someone to look at the erosion plan, and if it was not complete, he was to report back to council. It's been more than 30 days, it has not happened. Mr. Claycomb was invited tonight, correct?
Yes, I did send him a letter.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's Pam, okay. Somebody's at the front door, but it's not Mr. Claycomb. So he's not here tonight, but he has not complied, he has not paid his fee. There has been no erosion repairs or plans submitted, correct?
Correct.
We had another complaint
We did.
we can't act on tonight because this is the review of his appeal, but there's been evidently another live tree cut near the water line. Not cut down, but my understanding is cut in half and left to make it totable.
It's actually in this very first
Or
picture.
cut to 15% of it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And then in those pictures, you see what the property used to look like and what it does look like now.
So, at our last meeting, Melissa, it was your request that we don't leave it to him and staff if he doesn't comply and comes back to council. So here we are, and he has not. So we have a couple of choices. We can send it straight to collections, the fine part. I was hoping he would be here for this discussion. We did some research. So cities, one of the questions that comes up is, if you get fined and you don't pay the fine, what happens? We can lien the property, but the city can also foreclose on a property for outstanding liens. So it can be something that if we decide it needs action, now that process, you go to foreclosure. If we successfully foreclose on his home for a fine, he has a year to pay the fine and cure that. But it certainly gets your attention if you got to notice that your home is foreclosed on, for $3,400 fine, or whatever it is right now. Is it $3,500?
45, I believe. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
45,
3,000.
27, 40.
Plus 1,500 and one,
Yeah.
so 40.
Plus some extra interest.
Yeah.
100.
So the amount we got was the check for the appeal,
Right, of $400.
and none of the resulted. So we're open to suggestions. And I think we'll pursue a second complaint. If we had a complaint from a neighbor, they heard the tree service out there with chainsaws, and then Pam verified that another tree was cut.
And he didn't have a permit.
Right, there was nothing submitted to the city for review of that. We don't have any reason to believe it was one of the dead or dying trees that we understand was removed before, along with some viable trees. So, I think from that discussion before, all the dead ones were removed, so we're presuming this was a perfectly viable tree that's not been cut down.
And I think it too is still in the riparian area.
Gotcha. It's within 50 feet of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, suggestions.
Have we done, has this ever happened in the past? And if so, how did we handle it? I know
I
we're
don't
new.
think it was ever,
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
anything was never to the attention, if so, never discussed or handled
Got it. Okay.
that I can recall.
I do not believe that we had one that people just ignored everything. and
Right.
didn't do anything. Usually somebody, there's some action by them on doing a little bit of something.
So the original payment that we received was just the application,
The appeal.
the
required
appeal
check.
application
Yes.
check.
Yeah, so we got that.
And what was that amount?
$400.
Yeah, that was passed after our hearing, and then, at the appeal, he said he would pay it immediately, take care of it.
Right.
And I guess the one firm that we knew of was not interested in doing any work for him. So he was on his own to find a firm to help him with an erosion plan and a planting plan that would comply, and I don't know if he's made an effort, but we have not received anything back.
If anybody reached out to the city and on his behalf, in the event that he was sick, unable to,
Not in
he
terms of
didn't have
that.
someone with him that night, and they never made an attempt in any way, shape, or form for him?
No, not in this respect. I mean, we did have an attorney reach out to us and ask us about the appeal and the case, and we did respond.
On his behalf, yeah.
Right, on his behalf, but, I mean, since then, no, nothing.
Yeah, and all I know from up front, because I talked to him still, that he was trying to get multiple people, and I think he came to the city and said, look, I can't, and gave him an extension, I believe, at one point. I can't remember.
No, because our action was he has to come back to council
If he needed an
for an
extension.
extension. Yeah, so this is, it's been more than 30 days, but this is the follow-up. Yeah,
We over 30 days.
yeah.
And he has not called to ask for an extension.
Extension, okay.
I have not received anything.
Yeah, our notice was March 24th.
Right.
So yeah, it's like 100 days, yeah.
one other question, in addition to this, that does, excuse me, apply to him, these permits, and were these drawn after our appeal, or were these drawn before?
I think most of them were before.
Okay.
Their improvements he's doing on the place, and he's responsible for making sure that they get final.
But no, he hasn't come in to ask for permits for anything else,
No,
and just initiated this work,
yep,
correct? In my opinion, I think we've given him due diligence, we've given him the recommendations to not only follow the regulations and the rules and the permitting request, we've hand-guided him throughout this entire process, and I feel that it is a blatant, which he did express multiple times in our presence, that he didn't care and he was going to proceed with how he wanted to do it. So that's definitely a concern I have, that is he ever going to take us serious and take our Dune City and our lake, you know, the shoreline, he's had the issues with that. I know he's still going to be followed by DEQ, correct?
I think
For the
so.
removal of the things, and we haven't heard from
Disturbing the
him.
wetlands, right, that's our
Yeah.
assumption. Yeah, it was a map, wetlands on the map.
I don't feel that he's serious enough about this. I think our hands are tied and we have to proceed with whatever the council chooses to do so, if it be a foreclosure. I don't think any fine that we continue to implement is going to show the seriousness. I think it's kind of just gonna be wiped underneath the table.
Well, next step would be, it goes to collections, they will add on to this for their fees, and then they're gonna send them a notice, and then they'll record a lien, and that'll be added to the fee package, and then it would be a subsequent notice that, you know, we've given you 6 months or something, and between now and then, there may be another complaint, another fine, and the egregiousness could be part of that discussion on, you know, if there's a second fine. We lowered the fine last time, you know, after the discussion, so.
But we've had a blatant, again, takedown of another tree after we have warned
That would
him.
be the next complaint, right, so that would be
So,
more serious.
I don't feel that there is any level of respect for Dune City from Mr. Claycomb.
Yeah. So part of that will be procedural, right? We have to send them a complaint notice, and we'll schedule the same, and then we can have a discussion about, have we gotten your attention, and probably there'll be a
We need to move
different
forward with
discussion when we discuss the
The
fine.
collections and the lien, whichever we need
Okay.
to do.
Okay, and then probably end up a second lien or a second collection, and then we could say, okay, now we're at whatever, $10,000, we're gonna start foreclosure proceedings and let that be,
Correct.
and see if he takes that seriously. Does that make sense?
Fine with me.
Okay, so for tonight, I don't know that this requires action, other than there will be follow-up, or we're just giving guidance to staff, we'll send it on to the collection agency, we haven't heard from us in 100 days, and sufficient time for him to, you know, hire a firm or do a plan, and we haven't gotten a thing back, so. And then we'll visit the other and draft up a second complaint.
Absolutely
And,
agree.
all right. Is that sufficient direction? All right. I don't think we'll need any other action on that. And then we'll have a discussion, item B, and there's a flyer in your packet. And we have a video that goes, there was a webinar, and we now have a video if you're interested in the whole discussion. Does that do with League of Cities or alcohol? League of Cities, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's an online training if you want to view it, but, so the Supreme Court decision about public camping, what we can and cannot do. Oregon, I think, is the only state that has a public camping law on the books, so there is no model ordinance for cities to ban camping in the city limits, but there's a nice handout in there to familiarize yourself. And I don't know what I put on. I don't know.
So in summary, we can't do anything about the this, I call it street camping, because there's like 4 current active street campers in our city limits currently. So
Well-
we don't have,
I think there's a little bit we can do, because there's things about like parking in the right of way. We already have, you can't park in the right of way.
Right.
We can patrol trash and illegal dumping and noise and things like that, but yeah, there's this link of homelessness and a place to sleep. We have to be careful because state law allows it. So this is the handout that they just updated, and then that class. So I think this item is to discuss, not to take any action to create a rule or anything, but yeah, it's a bit of a sticky wicket specifically in Oregon, because a couple of years ago there was, the first case was in Idaho, the second case was in Medford, Oregon, they both went to Supreme Court. And Oregon, in the meantime, made a law to make it legal to camp if you didn't have a place to go. So we still face that, it's statewide. There are some things cities can do, like, problem is, we can't cite them for parking violations. We have to go to the sheriff's office to come, or, the county, Summer
and that's what
County,
they're
or
on.
Summer City road.
Like one was on the fog line, and it's a big RV.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's where I ride my bicycle. I'm like, this is really inconvenient for me, coming down that hill,
Yeah.
on a curve. Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about. So anyway, nice handout in there. It is something League of Cities is working on, and obviously a lot of people are concerned about it. And I expect there will be changes through the legislature. There's a number of people running for office that, for state office that said we have to do something about it. So next legislative session, I guarantee something's going to change. In the interim, mostly we can be educated and be prepared, because we can't just enact a city ordinance that doesn't agree with state law. So that's the short answer. One of the other challenges is if it's a homeless person and you want to move them, there's got to be a bed available, basically, someplace to move them to. And Dune City doesn't have a shelter. So you're relying on, like Lane County, would we transport someone from here to Lane to Eugene? Right, we don't have the ability.
But they don't have to accept that either.
It
They can turn it
depends.
down.
Dune City has an ordinance, you can't camp in Dune City.
But you can move them along. And you can give them an option, right? They don't have to accept the bed, but they stay there either if there's an option, so.
I'll slap him.
Any other discussion on this? I urge everyone to read this handout, and if you don't get the League of Cities emails, let me know, and I'll send you that link. You can watch the class. Lila did it live, with the discussion, and then they sent it back out, a week later, it was all taped, so they do a good job on that stuff. And I know they put a huge effort into this, following the legislature and then the national
Well, it's a
stuff.
hot topic.
It is, and they had this handout out, just literally, the revised handout, like within 2 weeks of the Supreme Court decision, so they've been following it closely.
People are taking advantage of it. You drive up down
Yeah.
101,
Yeah.
all the state pull-offs are
Yep.
full of people.
I know. Yeah.
Places that are even marked, no overnight parking, no camping,
Right.
they're full.
Yep. Any other discussion on that? No? All right, thank you. All right, next item is public hearing. We have a public hearing related to a conditional use permit. All right, specifically, since it's a public hearing, I need to read this. This evening, we have a public hearing on an application for conditional use permit to combine 2 different lots for a lot line adjustment as applied for by Michael Zink and Mary Ann Jackson Zink. These proceedings will be recorded. This hearing will be held in accordance with the land use procedures required by the city and the state of Oregon. This is a type 3 quasi-judicial procedure. Staff will identify the applicable substantive criteria, which have also been listed in the staff report. These are the criteria the council must use in making its decision. All testimony and evidence must be directed towards these criteria or other criteria which you believe applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the city and parties involved an opportunity to respond to the issue would preclude an appeal to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Any party interested in a land use matter may challenge the qualification of any counselor to participate in such a hearing and decision. Such challenges must state facts relied upon by the party relating to the counselor's bias, prejudgment, conflict of interest, or other facts from which the party has concluded that the counselor will not make a decision in an impartial manner. And I need to note, such challenges shall be made prior to the commencement of the public hearing. The chairperson shall give the challenged member an opportunity to respond, and a motion to accept or deny the challenge will be accepted and voted upon. Such challenges shall be incorporated into the record of the hearing. Does any counselor wish to declare a conflict of interest, bias, or ex parte contact with the applicant? Joe?
No.
Melissa?
No.
Susan?
No.
Chris?
No.
Rich?
No.
And I have none either in case I have to break a tie. Does any member of the public wish to challenge a counselor's impartiality? Seeing none. Here's what we can do tonight. The council may recommend approval of the conditional use permit, recommend approval of the conditional use permit with conditions of approval and/or modified findings of fact, or recommend denial of the conditional use permit based on findings of fact or other information identified by the council but not included in the staff report and findings of fact. Now it's a discussion of the report and the findings of fact. So the whole thing is included in your packet. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I've reviewed all the pictures and the maps, and I've got to say, this is a tough spot. There's some really small lots and some remnants, and I think this is the best possible solution. We've got what is otherwise unbuildable parcels in there, and so to make an adjustment and combine, you end up with basically 2 quarter-acre lots that are useful, that otherwise sit vacant and as they are today. So, for what it's worth, I like the idea.
The parties have all agreed, and neighbors were notified, and most of them were notified and had an opportunity.
Yeah. So it's been approved by planning commission, and you can find those here today. Any comments to the right? Stage left. Joe? No?
No.
Melissa? No? Susan? All right. Seeing none, I need a motion to recommend that City Council approve the conditional use application. And when you make that motion, let me know if you have any, if you want to modify that, or if there's anything, any conditions you want to add. And remember to state your name.
Counselor Stinson make a motion to approve the conditional use and to move forward with allowing it
As
as
proposed.
proposed.
Thank you. And a second?
Chris Clemens, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Let's see. Is that the only action required since we have no modifications or?
Are you approving with the conditions recommended by the planning commission?
Yes, the whole package with no additional conditions.
Thank you.
So that only requires the one motion and approval, correct? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is old business. We discussed the vehicles. Sign contests. Mrs. Jackson.
No, basically what I wanted to say was, I said part of this at the last meeting, that I very much appreciate the fact that there will be a Westlake sign again at the junction. And as for input, you had mentioned some different possibilities. I didn't know, when you're saying a contest, are you looking for people to come up with designs? Or
Yes.
just Okay. Well, I don't have a particular design, but I do want to repeat the fact that I thought the idea of having it be a thick wooden sign like a Forest Service or a park sign is lovely, and where it's kind of engraved, because as you know, the elements here between rain and wind are really tough, and it's blown that sign over a few times. And I know you had said you didn't know what Jamie had in mind. I actually do know, because she talked to me about it. And originally, she was working with an artist in Reedsport, and she kind of showed me the idea of what he wanted to do. But I just thought, well, this is ambitious, but it's never going to work in this windy area. As you guys know, if you live in Westlake, well, you get it in North Beach too, heavy winds off the Pacific, especially in the afternoon. So what she wanted to do was like an arcade like that goes clear over the junction and welcomes you in. But it was ornate, it would be subject to wind and rain. And we did some big vehicles like UPS vehicles and big mail trucks here because of the post office. I think it would be hard for them to deal with. I love the idea of something more like a nice, sturdy park sign, an engraved one, like something like they have at Honeyman or used to have. I think is very nice. And certainly other people may have other ideas. We have had signs that included the lake or some art. And certainly there's some good artists in there. You can see some of their murals here. And Jamie said this fellow in Reedsport's very good, but I think what they wanted to do was very ornate and wouldn't have lasted, given the weather conditions. That's my opinion as a local who's lived here for years.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments? Is it a draft flyer at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so once we're done tonight, we're gonna post this, we're gonna take public submittals, and then it'll be brought in front of the council for selection, and then we'll see if we can get bids to make them.
How long can you get in for this? There's no bid on it.
I did on the second one, sorry.
August 29th.
Yes, August 29th, yes.
I didn't get the second one.
I emailed it with the June 3rd minutes, I thought.
Yeah, there was a revision. It's a work in progress. End of August. If you guys are good sending this out, it'll be about 6 weeks.
Oh, 8, 29.
Yeah. Easy.
Whose birthday?
What's that?
Whose birthday?
Yes.
Michael Jackson's birthday.
Oh, okay. We'll make sure it's in the second meeting.
All right. Any other comments on the sign? We're calling it a contest.
No. I was incorrect about one thing when I described it as an arcade. I think the word I was looking for, a big arched sign that goes over the junction, so I don't know if I made that clear to you.
We found the picture that she had sketched.
Yeah, she showed me something.
So anyway, we're
So you
gonna
have seen it.
Turn it over to the public to make
Okay.
suggestions.
Yeah.
And potentially combine ideas. We'll see what we get. So
It'd be nice to see if we have any of the high schoolers that live in our area
there's a lot
that
of
are in the
possibilities.
arts department.
So we'll get it on the website. We'll probably put it on the Dune City Facebook page and put it on the bulletin board. If you know anybody, encourage them.
Do we not have a high school student during this summer?
We do.
And she's the one that created that.
Does she have a contact
She
at
has
the
a
high
conflict
school
of
for
interest
no? Does she have a contact for the art department at the high school?
I can ask her.
That'd be
I might
interesting.
actually have
It'd
a
be just
contact.
nice, interesting, There are some really dedicated young children to put forth into
Yeah.
our community. It would be nice to see.
Yep. And we're gonna see if we can come up with a prize since we call it a contest.
With the deadline of the end of August, you're not going to get any school kids for the art department.
But it would be it's very, being a part of the Siuslaw School District, the budget committee and the council, those meetings over there, our teachers go above and beyond and they stay in contact with a certain amount of students throughout the summer.
Yeah.
You'd be quite surprised. You'd be quite surprised on how many students still stay in touch with them. They're doing things all year long,
Sure.
regardless of summers.
All right. And then item C is road assessment. I don't know if we need to have a discussion tonight. Right now, we have assignments to look at areas of town for each council. We have drastically different levels of training and expertise in this on the council, so we're looking to get a citywide assessment and not have that be a, the streets near your house and the streets near your house, and get some consistency. So we're working on a plan, and we need to figure out from a legal perspective and a dollar amount, how to acquire the expertise separate from actual construction, from the repair. So anyway, we've been working on that and talking about a method to get there. And related to that, we don't have it on the agenda tonight, but we will. We don't have a purchasing policy, which leaves our staff quite often not sure how to act, right? If it's most entities, you'd say 0 to some dollar amount, say just for grins and giggles, $0 to $10,000, go get yourself a bid, get it done. 10,000 to 50,000.
I thought we already had that in play with our city administrator.
No. So we couldn't find anything, but we found a model from League of Cities for entities in Oregon, and it gives you the statutorial limits where there is one, and then where you have flexibility, like if the council wants to set this number at 10 grand, you can set it at 10 grand. So there's a couple that are statutorial, if it's over 100,000, you do X. If it's public works, is that over 250 now?
Mm-hmm.
It just changed. So anyway, they gave us a model ordinance. We're gonna present that, have a little discussion, and pick some numbers so that, if it's like 0 to whatever number we pick, Lila can just go get it done and then report, I hired somebody to do this, and it was, $4,500, and it's in the budget. So, right now, I think there might have been some of that in Jamie's contract,
Correct. I think that's.
but not a purchasing policy for the rest of the
Wasn't a
staff.
policy.
And
we-
those terms are not in her
Correct.
contract.
Right, and we had upped it during a council meeting.
We did.
She asked it to be increased, and we
Okay.
did increase the amount that was in there, so.
So the one the League of Cities gave us is driven by the legislature, and then they will send out updates as they change. Like right now, the model says effective July 1 of this year, so it just went into effect. One of the numbers went up by statute. And so we would have the most up-to-date information to make sure we're not violating state law. We can be more conservative than state law, but we can't be less conservative. So we'll bring that forward for review and blessing by the council. With that, we're at item 12. I don't believe we have any reason to have executive session. And item 13 is for the good of the order. Joe, would you like to start?
I have nothing.
All right. Melissa, top that.
He's got me.
You got that.
I got nothing
All
too.
right. Very good. That's okay. Susan?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay. Chris?
No,
Nothing. Oh, Nothing. All right. I have a tiny something. Chris has been working on a website update, and I saw the draft. That looks great. We're making some progress on some of our old information, so I appreciate the extra effort. And that's all I have. So with that, we'll adjourn this meeting at 6:48.
I'm still looking at that clock.
No, don't look.